The USS Challenger is back. Welcome to another continuing conversations where we're going to show off how to play with these 2E second edition rules as written. I have a wonderful cast with me today. We're going to jump right into it. Let's, of course, start by actually, no, we're going to do it different. We're going to do it in rank order for this special continuing conversation. So you all get reintroduced to these characters. You could always type in USS Challenger on continuingmissions.sta.com in order to see all of our episodes we've done so far. This is going to be our third mission of the USS Challenger. And going in rank order, let's introduce BC Holmes. Will introduce herself and the character.
Sure, I'm BC Holmes. I'm the current maintainer of the STA character creator, and the character I'm playing is Commodore Nella Zen, the commanding officer of the USS Challenger, and a joined Trill, but because of time travel shenanigans, secretly joined. The crew doesn't know. That's me.
Or do they? Anyways, let's go to the next character, Meric Moir. Welcome.
Hello, Meric Moir, playing Lieutenant Commander Burke Van Jaxa. I am a writer on the Star Trek Adventures role-playing game, as well as various other role-playing games. Lieutenant Commander Burke Van Jaxa is the chief engineer of the USS Challenger. He is a Tellarite, and he likes to tinker and sing.
Very good, very good. And of course, this takes us to our next character, Doctor. Oh, actually, let's Al Spader. Introduce yourself and the Doctor.
How's it going, everyone? Al Spader. I'm a writer for Star Trek Adventures. Just had the starter set come out, and it's going really well. Sounds like people are loving it, which is awesome. Got to work with Michael and Meric on that, so that was spectacular. I'll be playing Dr. Varal in this, a Vulcan who thinks that sometimes it's okay to show some happiness every now and then.
What's wrong with her? All right. And last but not least, Jim Johnson.
Hey everybody, I'm Jim Johnson. I'm the project manager and line editor for the Star Trek Adventures RPG and the Captain's Log solo RPG and a bunch of other stuff at Modiphius Entertainment. Also a fiction writer on my own, doing my own stuff and other games and random and sundry. I am playing Ensign Lanier Tenen, who is a Betazoid. He is the communications officer on board the USS Challenger. And let's see any fun facts about him. In the last episode, if you've been watching, he may have learned a secret about somebody on the crew. And we may have to investigate that fallout at some point. But for now, he's the young naive, fresh out of the academy ensign, manning the communication station behind the captain and the rest of the crew on board the ship.
Wonderful. Before we came up on this episode, I did a little pre-work. I always suggest Session 0 continues for game masters out there. So I asked a couple questions to the players, which we're introducing today. We also are going to try to do a focus on supporting characters. I think by memory, that's page 186 of the new second edition, because it's very interesting, the rules on there. Am I right? 186? I think so. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself. Everyone's checking now. I love that. Oh, now I got to check at
Ship
the same
stations
time.
and facilities.
Oh, man. What a rip. All right. I'll let one of you. Okay. It's in there. Supporting. Just
it's in the book.
Yeah, it's in the book. We'll correct that when we find
144.
it. 144?
For those of you playing at home.
144. Okay. Good. All right. There we go.
So just have a button you push.
Yeah. So we are going to be reviewing that today, and playing in an interesting way so that you all can see how you can really maximize the power of supporting characters in your game. But to start, we did a little pre-work. What I did is I asked Al to do a little pre-work with Dr. Varal, and then Jim to do a little pre-work with Tenen, Ensign Tenen. And the reason why I said it's so cool when you get those openers. Picture this now. You're on the USS Challenger. You see the ship flying outside, for external view. And all of a sudden you start zooming in closer and closer and closer. And you get into the ship's lounge. And this would be similar to the lounge you see on Strange New Worlds because of the era we're playing in, the Strange New Worlds era. And so before we, look into Dr. Varal and Tenen, who have a lot on their mind there, I want to paint the picture of what's going on in that crew lounge. So maybe, BC, what's something going on in the crew lounge of the USS Challenger that the viewers would see?
Well, I suspect that there's a lot of people experiencing downtime. Some people probably pop into the lounge and have their lunch there. you know, people unwinding as they're coming off of shift. And maybe there's some sort of, weekly sort of game that's going on, a trivia thing, or cards in the corner, or something like that.
Love it. Love it. And I do want to point out, too, that we do have some new crew members on from the last time. In fact, one of the questions that came up during the last mission is how many telepaths do we have on board? There weren't many that time. In fact, there was only Dr. Viral as one of the Vulcans and Ensign Tenen as a Betazoid. But since that time, you've had to go do some pickup as, one of the star stations. And you now do have, in addition to some new Vulcans, you also have a Deltan on board. You have an Anar on board. So there's some new crew. So I could see a little, to your point, BC, it's a little lively in there as people are making introductions and getting to know each other. Meric, what do you see happening in the crew lounge?
I feel as if since we've got some new telepaths on board from cultures that are not Earth, I would say that maybe one of the more like extroverted human crew is teaching some of the newer crew darts.
Okay.
Got a dartboard set up, and it's like a, hey, welcome to the Challenger. Have you seen this human game? It's a dexterity and thing, and like, and that's going on in one of the corners.
Love it. Wonder how the blind Anar is doing with that. That's going to be a fun little scene at some point. All right. But in addition to that, we cut over to one corner of the room and we see Dr. Viral over there. In fact, we're going to do this from point of view of Ensign Tenen as he enters the lounge area. And if he enters, what would he see Dr. Viral doing at this point?
So Dr. Viral is sitting in a booth with another scientist on the ship, probably an ensign, and just having a conversation. And I would imagine that Dr. Viral is looking a little bit on edge, maybe a little flush in the face. Definitely some emotions are starting to boil up for her.
Okay, and with that, Ensign Tenen, the director calls action.
Well, I walk into we're in a help paint the scene. We're in a Starbase lounge, or are we?
No, you're in the crew lounge of the U.S.S. Challenger.
Oh, the ship's lounge. Okay, cool. Well, I will go over to the replicator and replicate myself some.
That is not this time frame. We're in strange new worlds.
The kiosk thingy. Where were the coffee
synthesizer, the food synthesizer.
Yeah, thanks. Get the terminology right. I'll go over to the food synthesizer and order myself a Arcarian spiced tea, a mug of Arcarian spiced tea, and I'll kind of glance at the doctor and see if she's amenable to. Like, am I getting a vibe that she's amenable to company, or should I just kind of like leave her alone? What's the vibe?
Yeah, you get the feel like she's got another scientist sitting there with her. It looks like they've just been chatting, having a little drink, trying to wind down. But it does look like something might be bothering Dr. Viral a little bit. More than maybe she's letting on. Like, she's giving out the little smirks and whatnot, but definitely you see her cheeks are flushing and her shoulders are kind of perking, like, stressing up a little bit.
Okay. Well, as Tenen is very careful to keep his telepathic abilities tightly under control, he might still be a good sense of able to sense, just by looking at people and getting a vibe off of them that something's off. So I think he'll take his tea and he'll walk over there and kind of like give the doctor a nod and. May I join you?
Oh, Ensign Tenen, of course. Please join us. We're just sitting here hoping that Ven Jaxa comes through and serenades us again like he did last week. Just trying to relax on some downtime. How are you doing?
Well, I'll sit down and I'll sip my tea and I'll nod at the. Who else is at the table? You said another doctor.
Just another scientist.
Yeah, who excused themselves at this point too. Oh, I'm sorry. Good to see you, Ensign Tenen. I actually have to be off in science lab too. I have some nanotech components that I have to keep an eye on.
Well, have a good day. Well, Doctor, I'm generally doing well. I think after our recent escapades at XYZ, I don't have it in front of me, so I don't remember, but we can fix it in post. Um, I appreciate the guidance you gave me and some of your Vulcan meditative techniques, and I've been adding those to my own meditative practices. But I admit I'm still troubled by some of the things that happened, and just working through that. So I don't know if you have time in your schedule in the coming week or two, but I might schedule a little time just to chat to work through some of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We can always make time to chat. Um, I mean, how about now? Would you mind if I chatted now?
No, go right ahead.
There's something that's really gotten under my skin. I think that's how the humans say it. And I'm getting a little frustrated, and I'm not sure how to react. And you seem to be one who is insightful as far as emotional states and seem to understand how others around you are genuinely feeling. Um, so I just got a message from my sister, Tararen, and she has really put me over the edge.
Oh.
Really put me over the edge. See, I let myself feel joy. I let myself feel happiness. I believe that that is something that we all need. Uh, and I think the Vulcans that try to suppress those emotions are doing themselves a disservice. Well, my sister, she doesn't quite feel that way. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think so.
Yeah, she has doubled down on logic in her life and has never really supported me in my exploration of what the Vulcan emotions can entail. Um, and you see, when I went to school, I was working with a doctor named Dr. Lutter, and he was working on some like pretty cool experiments and pretty cool insights on how emotions uh, affect the Vulcan mind, specifically how um, you know when you suppress your emotions, it disallows Vulcans to make as many neural connections as when you allow your emotions to play out. How do you feel about that?
Very interesting. I have to admit, Doctor, I don't know if I've told you before, but you have a perspective on the Vulcan emotional processes different than any other Vulcan I've met, and I mean, it's refreshing just to know that not all Vulcans are, you know, suppressing their emotions and everything. So
Well, I mean, many think that Vulcans don't have emotions at all, right?
clearly,
And when in fact we truly have bigger emotions than most out there. I don't know if you've ever seen a fully angry Vulcan before, when you've been out and about in your career, but it is pretty extreme. So, long story short, my sister just sent me a message saying that she got my doctor friend that I worked with in school fired from the academy. And she is rubbing it in like salt on a wound. And I'm not quite sure how to respond.
wow. I gosh, Doctor, I don't know how to give you advice. I'm uh, being a being an ensign. Boy, families are difficult, aren't they?
They are the most difficult. And the other, like, there's part of me that wants to respond with the logic of, the neural science that Dr. Lutter was working on, providing the data to my sister on the proof that's, when you suppress your emotions, you don't make as many neural connections. But there's part of me that wants to let my emotions out on her.
Mm. Is there a way to thread the needle? Can you present your concerns in a ironclad? What's the equivalent in the 23rd century? It's not bulletproof. Like an ironclad, logical explanation of why she made a mistake in doing that, and then maybe add in a little bit of the emotional impact. I'm sure there's a Vulcan way to express emotion without a human overdoing it.
So you don't want me to yell data at her face, is what you're saying?
No, but you can certainly overwhelm her with logic and facts, right?
That is quite insightful. I can probably put together some type of rational explanation and still show how it is taking an emotional toll on me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I appreciate your insights, Ensign.
Well, Doctor, thank you for allowing me to share them with you. I thank you for opening up too. It's I'm still learning the ins and outs of junior officer and senior officer relationships. So I am grateful that you are willing to be open and honest with me in a one-on-one.
And luckily, I am no officer. And she holds up her drink.
Are you not?
I'm a doctor.
Out of character though, aren't you Starfleet? Or are you
I mean, I don't know if I hold a rank.
Okay, well that's something we can.
So how would we call that?
I mean, maybe we could just do it now in character, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Tennant didn't realize that maybe you didn't go through the academy like McCoy did.
Go with it. Roll with it. This is great.
So he'll raise his mug and ting the mug, but he said, "What do you mean you're not an officer? Aren't you Starfleet like the rest of us?"
Oh no! I didn't go through the at least not the academy that you're familiar with, but I have been brought on for my my expertise and my unique outlook on emotion, and luckily I'm the best doctor on board the ship, and that's why I'm in charge.
Oh well, wonderful. Well, I for some reason it just didn't occur to me that you weren't in Starfleet and that you hadn't gone through the academy, but I do know that Starfleet occasionally brings in experts such as yourself. I imagine you probably have an honorary rank of lieutenant commander or something, but cool. Well, thank you for educating me. I didn't know.
Thank you.
All right. Do we want to segue, Jim, to what you want to express?
We can. I'd have to give you just a little bit of backstory if you want to take it and then run with it.
I don't know if I want that. I think I want the mystery. I think the conversation should go natural.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if you wanted to do the scene in the moment or if you wanted me to reflect on it.
I wanted that at this scene you two both discuss this. You're kind of like, that reminds me of something I'm going through, kind of,
Oh, okay. Let me. Okay, I'll run with it.
It could be vague. It could be very vague, and you could go deeper later. You could say, maybe we'll talk about it later. You could even say, hey, you know what, Michael? Take it from here, and I could then jump into the plot if you want to. But why don't you tease it a little bit?
How about I just go with it, and then you just fill in where it makes sense. I was going to be a back and forth conversation, but it can be a text message instead, and that works just as well. I can react to the text message. All right, yeah. So we ting our mugs and we do the sip, and you have your last little line there about how you're not an officer and stuff. And Tennant had a data pad that he brought with him. So he had a data pad and he had the mug. And while we're talking, there's a ping on his pad, and he gets a message, and he says, "Oh, excuse me for a second." And he checks the message, and as soon as he reads through, as soon as he scans through the message, Viral, since you're literally sitting at the table with him, you can see that his mood immediately darkens. Like it's like a veil goes over his face, and you can, in fact, you probably even feel an emotional reaction of frustration and anger from him, which is probably uncommon since he's usually really good at holding, with his meditation and his expertise in managing his telepathy and empathy. You don't normally get that feedback, that blowback, but certainly this time is an unusual circumstance for it. And he reads the message, he scans it, he reads it again, and then he shuts down the pad, and you can see the cloud over his eyes. Mm-hmm. And he picks up his mug and he stares thoughtfully out the viewport for maybe 10 seconds or something.
Ensign, is everything okay? You look as though you've seen a ghost.
He pauses and he takes a sip, and then you can see the cloud recede a little bit, like he's doing his best to pull it all in. And he glances at the pad and he glances back at the doctor and he says, just some unexpected news just some news from an unexpected person. We were getting an updated when we were last at starbase, we got an update to the communication system software, and the technician behind the update just sent me an update, and I don't have a great history with that technician, and I'm just feeling he puts the mug down a little bit more aggressively than normal, and some tea sloshes over the side of it. I don't have great memories of this incident, and I need a moment to collect myself.
Well, is there something that you need to do for the ship? I mean, I know we're on downtime, but I could help you.
I mean, it's not a technical issue at all. I mean,
Okay.
The update is straightforward. I can go up to my console and get it done in 10 minutes. That's not the problem. It's the memory of what she did to me, and how it had impacted me, and just going from there.
Okay, let's cut scene for a moment. Good.
Yep.
Okay, so now we're gonna go switch to the bridge where Meric's character,
Burke Van Jaxa.
Commander Burke Van Jaxa. Sorry, all these alien names I'm constantly trying to juggle between everyone. Commander Burke Van Jaxa, you're giving an update to Captain. We're Commodore, but she's captain of the ship. Commodore Zen, on some new engineering upgrades that also occurred when you were at the last starbase, and some new engineering officers that even came on board. And she kind of wants to get your take on the new staff and the new equipment. And you want to report on that?
Yeah. Commodore, it's very interesting. I'm excited to say that the upgrades at the most recent starbase will stop us from turning off phasers when rerouting power. Again, my deepest apologies for that snafu the last on one of our missions. Shouldn't happen again. As for the team update, I'm a little bit concerned about our new Lieutenant Junior grade. I don't think that he can carry a tune, and I would like your approval to build in some time on the staffing to do some perhaps vocal training with all of the engineering crew.
Vocal training?
Yes,
I'm having difficulty understanding the relevance of vocal training for engineering purposes.
And he kind of flips through the pad a little bit, like a little nervously, like, team building and efficiency. and fit, sort of, like.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think what I'm hearing you say is that, what you need is a bit more bonding time with some of your engineers to, make sure that you're in sync, have a good working rapport, etc. I'm totally fine with that. The thing I would just gently caution is, some people might not like singing. Some people might have different different feelings about certain non-engineering related activities. I'm just cautious about ensuring that those differences are respected.
Yes, of course. And he puts the pad behind his back and kind of stands up straight and says, optional, certainly, yes.
The interim communications officer at the station turns and says, Captain, you are getting a message from Starfleet Command. Should I route it to your personal quarters, or do you want to take it here?
Let's take it here, Ensign Singh.
Okay. So it comes on, and Admiral Johnson is on the line from Starfleet headquarters, and introduces, hello, how's everything going, Captain?
At the moment, everything is fine, Admiral, but I assume that something is up, or you wouldn't be calling.
Exactly. We need to have you check something out. We know you're in the borders of the Federation right now. And have you ever heard of the planet Baham?
Only vaguely. Aren't they currently being considered for admission to the Federation?
Nice. I'm glad someone reads the Federation news briefs. In fact, that's exactly the case. We received a distress call from them. It's kind of garbled, but as far as we can tell, they said that their planet came under attack from an alien spaceship, and the subspace relay that we usually use in order to transmit their messages has been destroyed. So we're not getting any more messages from them. We really want the Challenger to go check it out. They have some very valuable resources, which includes submersible technology and underwater living spaces, which make them a high value to the Federation. And they're this close to having their application approved. So it's part diplomatic, but we really also need you to check on some potential allies for us.
I understand. We will get right on that.
All right, report back as soon as possible. And once you answer the distress call, you can feel free to lay out another subspace beacon to reestablish contact.
Thank you kindly. Challenger out.
All right. Boop. All right.
Helm, lay in a course for Bahul.
Baham.
Baham.
Baham. Oh, and the people are and actually he would have said also, he says, and the people on Baham, go check out the Bazool. And so I'll go ahead and put that's Bazhool.
Yes.
And Bazool from planet Baham. Okay, cool. All right, so why don't you tell us, Captain, besides plotting a course, what other action you take at this point?
Sure. I'll recall the senior staff to the bridge. Let's get
I'll play Thravic in this case.
Sure.
So at least the 5 of you will be in this discussion. So I'm playing the first officer, the Andorian Thravic.
Okay. All right. So I'll update the crew with the information. So we've just received a request from Admiral Johnson to enter the Baham system in order to render aid to the Bazool, who claim to have been attacked by an alien ship. Because they are close to Federation membership, we've been asked to intercede on their behalf. We're going to need to have a security assessment as soon as we get close to the system, and we're going to need to try to make contact with the Bazool as soon as we can. Now, that might be tricky because apparently there's some communications issues. I particularly need Venjaxa and Tenon to collaborate on potential replacement communication technology, because we understand that there's some damage to their existing communication infrastructure. And Doctor, of course, you're going to be needed in the event of casualties or other medical emergencies.
Should I go ahead and do some research on the Bazool, Captain, and prepare
Definitely.
a security dossier?
Definitely.
Michael.
Yes.
For Michael, are we do we have the buoy in our stuff, or are we going to need to make something?
I would assume it's there, as it would be common backup equipment. This is the opportunity for all of you players to go ahead and see if you can generate any kind of traits and preparation for arrival in the Baham system.
So what I'll say is, Captain, Ensign Tennant and I will pull the backup communications buoy out of storage and double check all of the systems. We will make sure that it's ready by the time we arrive in the system.
Okay. There's going to be 2 opportunities here. So one, we're going to have a chance to go around and do traits, but we're going to do something really cool in this setup session, and that's where we're going to be creating supporting characters. One supporting character can be played by 1 player each in this situation. The ship has a scale of 4, which means you can have 4 supporting characters activated at any given time, and I'm going to on the next scene be splitting the crew. So there's going to be 2 players who stay on the ship, 2 players who go down to the planet. And so if you're not on the planet, you would then be, if your main player character is not on the planet, you'll be playing a supporting character. So you'd want to choose an applicable supporting character. So and then from there, let's first kind of see what those supporting characters are going to be. And we'll talk it out here, and then I'll give you all the chance to roll a trait if you want to roll traits. But let's start with the captain. How do you want to divide up who stays on the ship and who's on the away team from our current player characters?
So I think the Commodore would definitely stay on the ship. We're in a hostile scenario. I think it makes sense to remain on the ship. I'm inclined to think that possibly the doctor should also be on the ship, since that seems to be the logical place to bring all of the casualties to, and what have you. It feels like maybe engineering and communications should go below to assess the needs for replacement and for replacement communication technology. That's my first take, but I'm open to other people's thoughts.
I mean, out of character, I think it makes sense. Did we say that they were attacked? Is that what happened? I mean, that might be an argument for the doctor to go down and help with casualties, but we could just easily send the medical team down to assess it first.
Or pick a supporting character
Yeah.
who is medical also to go down. We could choose that. Just so everyone knows who's listening, is what we're going to do is after they kind of make the selections of these ambiguous supporting characters, we're going to take a break from this episode, and next week you'd actually meet who these supporting characters are in that Act 2 scene. So just to give you an idea, we're just going to declare who's going where, and then map it out from there. So has that changed your orders, BC, that input?
No, I think that sounds right. I think that it would have made the most sense to keep the most senior medical person on the ship with the access to the most technology, and send maybe a junior doctor or something like that.
Okay, that sounds cool. Okay, so far we have two main characters, Vin Jaxa and Ensign Tinin. That's engineering and communications heading to the planet with a, as of now, nondescript supporting character from the medical department. All right, what else?
We'd probably need a security officer. We don't know the situation that we're going in, and we can't communicate with them until we set this up. So
yeah, maybe we make Thoravic a supporting character, and he can be in charge of the away team.
There we go. And who would play? Would Al or BC? Okay, Al, you want to play Thravic then? And we have his character sheet ready to go. So that's cool. So we got a good little group there. We got 3 red shirts and a blue, right? That's how it looks. That's kind of cool. I'm pitting you red shirts in this time period.
Hey, I have a rank.
BC,
that's true.
Are you okay playing the junior doctor as a supporting?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to be fun to pick this out. Yeah, this is going to be fun. All right, cool. And just so you all know what I've done privately in our channel, I've actually scoured through all STA products for anyone wearing TOS animated series or Strange New World costumes, and I've cut and paste those into a document for us so that we can actually scroll through, see what they look like, and then we just have to roll on BC's amazing character creator supporting character button to flesh out these characters, which we'll be doing between this week and next week's episode. All right, so let's flesh out now on the crew, because we know we have Captain staying. We also have the Dr. Viral staying. So there's 2 other characters that could be activated on the ship as supporting characters. Who should those be?
I think we've got some options, right? We could have a tactical officer or a communications officer, or a pilot, depending on what kind of shenanigans we get into. I don't know. I guess it depends on what the episode holds for us.
I would suggest having definitely a helm officer.
I'd be happy doing tactical or helm. Either would be really fun.
Okay.
Helm is easy because we've already got Rashid Kamal as a statted up character.
That's right.
I think usually Thoravic is the tactical officer, so that would have to be a net new.
Who played Kamal last time, by the way?
Al.
I think.
Oh, okay. I was just checking.
I think then I would like to do tactical because I'd like to roll one up on BC's thing.
Awesome. Okay. And tactical's a red shirt, right? In at this time period. Yeah. Not that it matters. I just like picturing it in my mind. Okay. And so Jim, does that put you to play Kamal?
Yeah, I'll take Kamal.
Okay, awesome. All right, so that gives us an idea of what our casting is for this show. Now, what we want to do is give the active characters, because we're not activating the supporting characters yet in this scene. What I want to do is give you active characters before we split the group, is an opportunity to roll up traits or take some other kind of action that you think would be appropriate, a dice roll on this. Let's go ahead and start with the captain.
I'm sorry, can you restate that?
I want to give an opportunity for all of you to roll, maybe create a trait or do some sort of role-based action this round to prepare. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be roll a trait. You could maybe, scan or blah, 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 blah. But just give you all an opportunity to take an action. You have your hand up, Meric?
Yeah, I was thinking that Venjaxa probably wants to scan the conditions on the planet where we're going to be setting up the communication device, so that I have a trait that means, I'm prepared for, surprises. Like if we're going into a very like heavy weather situation, or if there's like a magnetic field or those sorts of things, that I can tune the communications equipment with my preparation.
Okay, so we'll have you do an environmental scan in conjunction with what the Federation already has on the planet, to give you that kind of information. So why don't we start your roll? I think this would actually be difficulty 0, because we already know in order to have a Federation application in, you're going to need a lot of data, right? So I think that it would be logical for you to make this a reason plus engineering with ships, computers, plus command, because this would be Federation information that they've stored in their file.
Okay.
All right. So why don't we have BC, you want to roll for the ship on this one? Again, you're going to be rolling on computers and command, but let's first start with Meric's roll on reason plus engineering.
Can do, and I'm going to use the fancy new dice from the starter
set. I should go get mine.
Okay, so reason engineering, one of my best things. Target number 16. I got an 8 and a 13, so no focuses are going to apply, but two successes generated.
2 successes, good. Let's roll for the ship.
Sure. Computers and command is a combination of 11, 8, and 3.
You just roll what dice?
13, unfortunately.
Okay, so you didn't get anything on this one. All right, that's fine though. You still, you got 2 momentum, so you could bank that, or you can do something else with it.
I think I'll use the 2 momentum to make a trait, if that works.
Sure.
And say augmented planetary data. Does that work?
Yep, I like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and that's anything that logically would be in the Federation file.
Yeah.
We can pretty much say that. Okay, good. That was a good first roll for this round. That should prove valuable for your away team. Anybody else?
I would like to study what we have on the database on this species in regard to physiology and anatomy.
Wonderful.
And potentially create a trait.
Nice. So again, I think this would be reason plus medicine with ships, computer, and command. So let's have you go reason and medicine, and then BC, you'll be rolling in again on.
That's like my best thing. So it's 12 plus 5. So 17 is what I'm looking for. Also using the new dice. I got a 12 and a 5. So that's 2 successes.
They're so pretty.
And you said it's computers plus medicine?
Yep.
So that's an 8 and a 2. And I rolled a 4. So that's 1 success.
Wonderful. That gives you 3 momentum. How do you want to use that, Al?
We're going to bank 1, and then we're going to spend 1 to make the trait physiology adept.
Physiology adept. Okay, I can tell you something about it too, since you asked. It'll be interesting for you to note as a jumping off point that this species is sentient fungal life forms. In fact, there's even a picture. I'm going to go ahead and drop a picture into our Discord that you can see. And I know Meric, in post edit, you'll go ahead and get that for everyone to see who's watching on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this image and get your initial reactions to meeting the Buzzhool. So let's go ahead and drop this into Game Bible channel, and let's get your initial reaction.
Oh, all right.
Maybe let's each have you describe something about it for the people who are listening on podcast. Describe about it as we go around. We'll start with Dr. Viral.
So these creatures or these people are quadrupeds, with it looks like some type of green photosynthetic growths coming from their skin.
Okay. What would you add to that description, Ensign Tenon? If people were, again, if someone's blind and you have to describe this creature to them, how would you do it?
Think of a large gecko with broccoli shoots coming out of it.
Good. Ben Jacksa, your take on it?
Sort of almost a hunched posture on its four legs with a long tail that is probably used for balancing when moving quickly.
Yeah. Plus, there are partial aquatic species too. We know that because they specialize. Remember in
swimming,
in submersible and underwater living spaces. And how about you, Commodore? What's your take on describing?
So a couple of things that stand out to me is one, I wonder, based on the posture, the figure is touching like fingertips to the ground. So I also wonder if they are able to walk around bipedally. So that's an issue.
They can when necessary. Mm-hmm.
Two, I think that there's a sort of mossy quality to the skin. So it looks like there's a rough sort of grassy, mossy texture to the entire alien. And then I think there's an intriguing fractal quality to the way these broccoli sprouts appear. It's this constantly branching off and creating more and more little endpoints to the protrusions that are coming out largely from the back, but also from the appendages as well.
I have a question. I have a follow-up question on Berk Van Jax's info that he got.
Sure.
Gravity on this planet, is it slightly heavier than that we would find on standard?
Slightly lighter, but not noticeable really to most people. Yeah. And another thing too, it's interesting though, it might almost look amphibious in nature. It qualifies as sentient fungus.
Yeah.
This character.
Yeah, it looks like it probably has like spongy tissue making up its forelimbs, instead of almost like a cartilage instead of bones. Which makes me believe that this is a fairly light life form, making it easier to swim.
Yes, people who've touched the life form have actually said it feels almost like condensed tree moss, to give you an idea of what it would feel like. Okay, so that gives you a little, everyone at home, notice how we get a chance to all talk it through, get a little bit more physicality to this character.
Last thought on it, I wonder if that little glowing green thing around its neck is significant in any way.
Good question. That would actually be part of its way of processing energy. It's photosynthetically, because it is sentient fungus. So that's almost like a photosynthetic blood, if you would think of it like that.
I love it. Super cool.
Right. Okay, and then a last point on it for those who are looking, those little branchy out tree things, you see little orange ends on those are actually their nerve endings. So even though it has the appearance of an eye, it's actually very blind. They aren't very great because they're submersible. They operate in darkness. So they not only use those nerve endings for sensing their surroundings, but even for gathering food. That's part of their digestive system. So very much like almost like a coral reef kind of. So quite an interesting life form, these Buzzhool. And experts again in submersible technology and underwater living spaces. So of much interest to the Federation in that regard. All right, good roll, Dr. Viral. Lots of good information there. All right, who's next? We got two more people who.
Real quick question.
Sure.
Did we created a trait with that? What was the name of that trait?
That trait, if you can look, I'm sharing everyone at home. We have a combined Google Excel spreadsheet. Physiology adept. So
I think
can you be a little bit more?
I think you just have to hit enter. There we go.
Could you be a little clearer maybe on that definition of that trait too, so we can employ it later, Dr. Varall? Al, what do you mean by physiology adept?
I mean, I think that means that Varel is adept at understanding the physiology of this species.
I'm going to put Dr. Varall understands physiology.
Yep, that's fine.
To make it a little easier for future. All right, that leaves Commodore Zen and Tenon still with plays.
Yeah, so I think that I would like to review the sort of political context of this particular world. So what are its nearby neighbors? Who have been historical enemies and or allies of this particular world? Have they had incursions in the past that might be reemerging? Just looking for a library summary of this particular world and its neighbors, basically.
Okay, that sounds good. In order to do this, I'm actually going to make this difficulty 1. And the reason why is, as I said, you're on the borders of Federation space. So that means the information may not be as detailed along the borders, what you're asking about. So in this case, we're going to make this a reason plus security. The way you worded it, we're going reason plus security on this with ships. Again, computer plus command, and maybe Jim, we can have you roll that computer plus command after the captain rolls.
Can I make an argument that interstellar trade might be an applicable focus?
Totally, totally agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. My reason plus security is 10 plus 3, which is 13. Difficulty 1. That feels like there's a good chance of that, so I'm gonna stick with 2 dice. Oh, okay. So good news and bad news. I got a 2, which with my focus is a critical success. But I also got a 20.
Okay. We'll let Jim roll, and then we'll roll for that ship.
Remember, what am I rolling again?
You're going to be rolling computers plus command.
Okay.
This is the dossier from Starfleet.
This is the ship supporting you, right?
Correct.
Okay, I rolled a 3, so I'm not sure what the number is, but I'm sure it's better. I'm sure the number was lower than 3. So.
Okay, and what's the command on? Because that might be a command is 3, so that makes it a double success.
Well, ships always have a focus, right? So.
Correct. Yep. So that gives you 3 momentum and 1 complication. That means you have 2 successes. Sorry, you have 2 successes. So, excuse me. Let me slow down. You have 3 successes and 1 complication. Of that, you've earned 2 momentum because this was difficulty 1. So, how do you want to do that, PC?
Sorry, is that not? We have 4 successes.
You had 1 and he had 2.
I rolled a 2.
Oh no, you didn't. Oh, good. Then you have 3 momentum you're sitting on.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So
I should answer your question first.
Sure.
Okay. So if anybody has their STA book out with them, the question is, where are we at in the galaxy, right? So for those of you who actually have it, you could open up the first page and you'll actually see a place, called the Badlands. We're north of the Badlands. So we right now would be about 2 sectors north of Freehaven. All right. And even better than that, there's a planet called Dreon, Dreon. Because we're deep space explorers, you're probably about 2 sectors above Dreon. And that puts you on the way left of Aurelis, which is, an up. So it gives you an idea. You're out there really by yourselves. You don't have backup at this point. And the subspace beacon that you did have is not there anymore as you go. So this is really the outer levels. Regarding other species and stuff, again, to the galactic south, the Federation has made some early preemptive touch base with these people called Cardassians, but no one's really ever met a Cardassian, you know. They've heard about them. They've also heard about, you know, the Ferengi in this area that are a huge trade empire, and the Federation is having a real bad taste in their mouth about them. They don't seem to do anything but money at this point. But yeah, so those are some of the species that are in the area. It's not considered a friendly area at this point, and so more allies is kind of key. And so it's been nice to meet the Basul, which have been open to that.
Okay. I think what I would additionally like to create a trait, which is how would I describe it? Basically, I want a trait that gives me a good understanding of the political context for this region. So, thorough political awareness, thorough geopolitical awareness, I guess, is maybe the name of the trait.
Thorough galactic political
I
awareness.
was going to say, would it be astro-political?
Astro-political, yes. I love that. Very nice. And then let me see if there's one other thing you might know about this area. Let me check. Yeah. You would also be aware that there's another polity in this area that definitely is hostile, you know, along the southern borders. I mentioned, and this is all in the same region, and I'm looking at it here. There's also the Zinketh that have made early introductions to, you know, the Federation at this point. So you got Cardassians, you got Ferengi, Zinketh. These are all very vague species that mostly you've heard about from traders. Traders have talked about interstellar trade meeting these species or not wanting to meet these species. So that gives you some background in the area. Okay. And you have one momentum left.
Sure, let's bank that.
All right, sounds good. All right, Tenon. Did you have a question, Meric?
It was about momentum, and you answered it. We're great.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yes. So knowing that we're going down to the planet, and we're likely to need engineers to help repair the communications, and a medical team to help with any potential casualties, while everybody else is getting their things together, I'm going to make use of my communication station, because I think communications. Like I think about Uhura and all the things she was doing. They're kind of a blend of communications, but also like ship operations, and they're like coordinating the teams and getting things together and getting resources together. And so I think he's going to. I'm going to attempt to create a trait, and I would like to get this is one of the things I love about this game is that a trait can represent X number of people who go down to the planet with us. To it's like the supernumeraries, you know, from central casting, who don't have any lines, but they're holding tools, they're holding tricorders, they're holding things, and they're going to go do their repair work or their support stuff while the main actors are doing the stuff in front of the camera, right? Mm-hmm. So basically I want to create a trait for a you know, away team support that is armed with communication stuff that we're likely to need, engineering tools that we're likely to need, and any triage type of medical stuff that we need. So it is like, you know, a couple engineers and a couple doctors, you know, a couple red shirts, a couple blue shirts, ready to go and assemble with us in the transporter room when we're ready to go. And I'm doing coordination from my communication station, you know, connecting with internal teams and internal, you know, representatives to say, okay, you need this stuff, you need this stuff, you need like away team package 4 and you know, triage package 3, have all that stuff assembled. So that's what I'm going to attempt to.
Okay. Right before we attempt that roll too, I had a complication from that last round. I didn't want to forget about it. I'm adding a trait to this game called residual background radiation hampering medium and long range scans. Okay. So I just want to make sure that is going to exist as a trait when we get into the star system. All right.
On the spreadsheet somewhere?
I did. There you go. All right, cool. And so Jim, it sounds like what you described is going to be a control plus command action.
Control plus command. So I'm looking at a 13. You said we have 1 point of momentum.
You have 2 points of momentum, and this is a difficulty 0 action.
We have 2 points of momentum. Well, I'll spend one of them if anyone doesn't mind. No mind? Yeah. Nope. All right, let's see. So my target number is 13. I rolled a 12, a 1, and a 17. So that's a 1, 2, 3 successes.
Wow, that's wonderful. Okay, so that automatically creates the. Oh, sorry, this is difficulty 2 because sorry, it can't be difficulty 0 because you're creating a trait. My bad. Okay, so what do you want to name this trait then?
So first of all, because I'm using the communication station,
Mm.
it reduces the difficulty by 1 because this is actually
Wow.
it's been a yeah because it's a command.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, let me make sure I get that right. Uh, Communication station. Yeah, any communications related tasks performed at this station reduce the difficulty by 1. So it was a difficulty, and so let's call the trait away team support,
All right.
and that covers the engineering side, and that covers the medical side.
Yep. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put in there engineering/med, so
Yes.
we know. All right.
And I'm also looking at my character sheet here real quick. Because I'm an ensign and I have untapped potential, and because I bought a dice, I can roll on my untapped potential to determine whether we get an extra momentum or a threat.
Question: is that untapped potential connected with a particular department?
Nope, it's just anytime I succeeded at a task for
Nice.
which I bought a dice, and I
Very
was intentional about buying a die. So it's so my reason is what's my reason? My reason is 10. So if I roll under a 10, we get momentum, and I rolled a 6, so we have 1 bonus momentum.
Nice.
In addition to 1 in the bank right now.
There was 1 in the bank, so we're at 2, and you had generated 3 momentum, right? In your roll?
But I had to spend 2 of those to create the trait.
No, because you rolled on create a trait, so it creates the trait once you succeed.
Oh, okay.
You have 3 momentum.
So we have 3 momentum plus the bonus?
Uh-huh.
Because the bonus momentum cannot be saved.
Correct.
So I should probably create another trait using the bonus momentum and 1 of the other momentums and bank the other 2. What would be a good momentum?
You could also make this one a potent trait 1 time. It's not repeatable, but you can make this a way team support engineering medical 2 if you wanted
that's
to.
a good idea. Yeah. Okay, so I'll spend the bonus momentum and 1 of our momentums to make that a potent trait 2. And then that'll leave us 2 momentum in the bank, right?
There you go.
Am I getting that math right?
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah.
I think that leaves us 3 in the bank because you generated 3 and the bonus.
We had 3 in a bonus, right? Didn't we have 3 in a bonus?
Got that? Hold on. Watch my hands, everybody. Who's watching? You had 1 in the bank. You generated 3, and you had 1. You had to spend it. You spent it, plus you had to spend 1 of those extra to make that potent. So you have 2 remaining.
Okay.
To put into the bank.
Yep. That
to
sounds
put
good.
into the bank to a
Yes,
total of 3.
yeah.
There we
Correct. So now there will be a total of 3 in the bank.
go. Yeah.
And I think it's worth mentioning, Michael, that there are 2 ways to create traits in this game. One of them is as an action, right?
Mhm.
And that's usually a difficulty 2 task to create a trait. Another way is by spending 2 momentum to create a trait. So that's where we were kind of got crossover there a little bit earlier. But Jim rolled a difficulty 2 test or task, so he was able to create the trait that way.
Right. And
Awesome.
I didn't have to spend momentum to create that trait. It was just the success at the task was what made it happen.
Correct.
Correct. That was very potent. I love that, especially since you got that reducing difficulty of the task to 1. That really was a good power play there.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
This is a good reminder to players out there. Even if you don't have any momentum in the bank, you can still do stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's
Still,
right.
just roll those dice, attempt to create traits, and do things with them. Because you're going to see, like if you've been watching some of our other episodes, you can see how useful traits are in task attempts. And so I'm sure you're going to see this more too, because now we've got all these traits piled up.
There are.
Yep.
Yep. I'm going to read off the traits that we've created. We have augmented planetary data. Dr. Viral understands Bazul physiology. Thorough astropolitical awareness, thanks to the captain, and the fantastic coordination of Ensign Tenon has away team support for engineering and medical staff. Potency 2 going in here. So that is going to be our cut scene. And this is the episode. Just wanted to emphasize this was our Act 1, everyone. This was us doing a little inner character personalization here, seemed focused on, family and past lovers and relationships. And then business as usual as the crew of the U.S.S. Challenger gets a distress call from the planet Baham and orders from Starfleet Command to go check it out. All right. One last go around to anybody, and you can just comment before we cut off till next week and come back and meet our new supporting crew.
Yes, I want to make one comment.
Yes.
This might be only me. I don't know what you guys are doing, but I have the character sheet from the starter set on my window, and I'm using that as my character. But I just reminded myself that those character sheets are slightly simplified from what you're actually getting in the game, because they do not include the character roles, the character role benefits. So if you are a character role, if you're playing a character role like the executive officer or the communications officer or something, you have an additional role benefit that is not on this sheet. And I just realized that there's a role benefit for the communications officer that's really super useful, and I need to remember that. So I need to put it.
Oh, good reminder. Everyone check that out, and because we're going to come back to the next episode of U.S.S. Challenger. Know the rules, because we're playing Star Trek Second Edition Raw here on Continuing Conversation. So until next time, IDIC.
Live long and prosper. Be safe, be well. We'll see you next time.